Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to my channel, The Ancient Book Club. I'm Kylie, and lovely to have you with us on this Sabbath meeting. So we're going through the Torah portions, and we are in Deuteronomy at the moment, and which summarizes the Torah, summarizes his statutes, his commandments, his calendar. And at the moment, we are in the middle of the Festival of Unleavened Bread. We had Passover in New Zealand. It was on Sunday night, was when it was at the moon at the fullest, or even Monday night. Some people I know celebrated it Saturday night. But his calendar, it's between Sunday and Monday, but we chose to stick to the Sunday night. And we're in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is a celebration for 7 days where we get together with friends and family and stranger and orphans and widows. As we're going to talk about today, it's actually in our Torah portion, the Festival of Unleavened Bread and the Festival of Weeks, which begins on the Sabbath after the high Sabbath. Okay, so we had the Feast of Passover on Sunday night, between the evenings, which is at the end of the Sunday, the beginning of the Monday, so on the evening of Sunday, which is to represent the Passover lamb that came and put the blood over the doorways, okay, when we were in Egypt. And then redemption came after Passover, after like the sealing of his saints. They were sealed by the blood of the lamb over the doorways so that the angel of death would go through but not go into the homes where they had the sealing of the blood of the lamb. And then, of course, for us, they look forward to the cross. We look back to the cross of Yahusha being our Passover lamb, and those that receive him in remittance for our wrongdoing of breaking his ways. We take the seal of the blood of the Lamb over our lives and the doorways of our lives, so that when the angel of death comes, it passes by us. We have so much to be grateful for, so much to be grateful for. He took the remission of our sins so that we don't have to. Praise the Most High. Thank you, Yahusha. So, then we go on to unleavened bread, which actually begins at Passover, which is flat cakes with no yeast in them. And we were reading with my brother and I, who's come across from Darwin today, just now, about back in the Targum, it talks about they made it from corn, from the dry corn and then the new corn. The dry corn was over Passover, and then from the rest of the 7 days, from day 2 to 7, they used the new corn, which is really fascinating. So we're talking a bit into that. And of course, you see, then after first fruits, which is when Yahusha rose, you see, people celebrate today Easter, which goes back to Ishita, but that he died on the Friday and rose on the Sunday, which is not, as the scriptures say. The scriptures say it's the sign of Jonah. And Jonah had 3 nights and 3 full days in the belly of the whale, and so did Yahusha in the ground. He had 3 full nights and days. So he died at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. So it's Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and then you've got the Sabbath. Okay, he died at 6 o'clock on the Wednesday to 6 o'clock on Thursday, 6 o'clock on Friday. He rose at the end of the Sabbath. 3 full days, 3 full nights. And the Sabbath, you see, so that's from Wednesday to Thursday, Thursday to Friday, Friday to Saturday. Okay, from after 6 o'clock on the Saturday, he rose and was the first fruits and was seen by the woman before the sun came up on the Sunday, which is the first day of the week. And it was first fruits. And remember, he said to Mary, his mum, do not touch me now. I have yet to ascend to the Father. Okay, so he couldn't be touched. He was holy. So he went to the Father and came back down and then mingled amongst them for 40 days. So that was first fruits. Now, counting of the Omer begins after the weekly Sabbath. There is a high Sabbath on after Passover on the first day of unleavened bread and on the last day. But amongst that, you see, because it's a week, there's a Sabbath. So when Jesus was here, it was on the Wednesday. So the Omer started on the first fruits, which was also the counting of the Omer, which was after the weekly Sabbath when he rose. So for us here, we had it on the Sunday. We had the high Sabbath of the Monday, but we've got to go around to the Saturday Sabbath, and then counting the Omer and first fruits is that Sunday, that first day of the week. And then we count 7 weeks. So 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, all the way up to 49. And then the Monday is, or Sunday night, is Pentecost. And remember, in the scriptures, back in Genesis, God said to us, mankind's lifespan will be 120 years. Okay, this is when they were living like 1,000 years, 900 years, 800 years, whatever. He made it 120. Now, we take that for the lifetime of a man. Because remember, he changed that to 7, which is 70 years. But the lifetime of man on this world will be 120. Now, it just occurred to me, actually, and last Torah portion reading that I did 2 weeks ago, where we're counting the Omer, we're counting 50, we're counting Jubilees, 50. He's telling us his calendar, and we do this every year for generations and not perhaps always knowing what it's meaning. Those 50 of counting the Omer, which is like Jubilees because they're 50. He's given us 120 years, 120 Jubilees, which equals 6,000. Yep. 12 times 6 is 100. No, hang on. Jubilees, 6,000 years. Yeah. 12, hang on. I'm doing 12 times 5 is it's 120. I mean, it's 6,000. Sorry, 60. 12 times 5 is 60. Beg your pardon. So that's 6,000 years. Add the 0. 120, 50, 6,000. So when we're counting the Omer all the way to Pentecost, we're counting the time frame of the Jubilees. Every Omer is a Jubilee. And what happened at Pentecost? It was a time that Moses came down from the mountain with the 10 Commandments. And it was the time that the disciples met for Pentecost in the upper room, where the Holy Spirit anointed them to go out and to preach the gospel. He gave them their tongue of all the nations that were there, so that they had the interpretation thereof of the message. And it was the time that Peter got encouraged and filled with the Spirit, so he wasn't weak and running away anymore. He could actually stand and proclaim. So from the beginning to the end, he tells us these things, you see. And so at the end of the 6,000 years, his Spirit, the Torah, will always be here. It resembles that. It resembles being able to stand in the Messiah. It says, kingdom come at the end. So this is what these spring feasts represent that we are doing now, guys. So speaking about that, let me screen share and let's get to the calendar that I've already got up here for you guys to look at. So where are we now? We are April the 19th. We celebrated Passover on the Sunday night. It was here. Okay, so we've got the Sabbath day. So we're not eating any yeast, guys, or have leaven in our houses. No yeast in our houses because it represents sin. Okay, and then tomorrow is the last day of unleavened bread until the sun sets. It's the first fruits where they start to bring in Israel a sheaf. which is a gathering of it's either wheat or barley. Somebody can confirm that actually, if you like, and put it up on the channel. Or it could be corn, but corn isn't a sheaf. And it's day 1, counting of the Omer. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to be counting it all the way through the months, the moons, until normally around May or June is Pentecost. We had 50 of them. And each of these Omers represents a jubilee, 50 years from the beginning of time, from Adam and Eve, all the way through, guys, to our time, which is right on the crust of 4950. Amazing, eh? So that's the calendar. Now let us get to our Torah portion of this week. It's the 47th Torah portion. Deuteronomy 11 to Deuteronomy 17.
See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, and the curse if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside from the way that I am commanding you today, to go after other gods that you have not known. And when the Lord your God brings you into the land that you are entering to take possession of it, you shall set the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. Are they not beyond the Jordan, west of the road, toward the going down of the sun, in the land of the Canaanites who live in the Arabah, opposite Gilgal, beside the oak of Moreh? For you are to cross over the Jordan, to go in to take possession of the land that the Lord your God is giving you. And when you possess it and live in it, you shall be careful to do all the statutes and the rules that I am setting before you today. These are the statutes and rules that you shall be careful to do in the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess all the days that you live on the earth. You shall surely destroy all the places where the nations whom you shall dispossess serve their gods, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree. You shall tear down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars and burn their Asherim with fire. You shall chop down the carved images of their gods and destroy their name out of that place. You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way. But you shall seek the place that the Lord your God will choose out of all your tribes to put his name and make his habitation there. There you shall go, and there you shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the contribution that you present, your vow offerings, your free will offerings, and the firstborn of your herd and of your flock. And there you shall eat before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice, you and your households, in all that you undertake, in which the Lord your God has blessed you. You shall not do according to all that we are doing here today, everyone doing whatever is right in his own eyes. For you have not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance that the Lord your God is giving you. But when you go over the Jordan and live in the land that the Lord your God is giving you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies around, so that you live in safety, then to the place that the Lord your God will choose to make his name dwell there, there you shall bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes and the contribution that you present, and all your finest vow offerings that you vow to the Lord. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you and your sons and your daughters, your male servants and your female servants, and the Levite that is within your towns, since he has no portion or inheritance with you. Take care that you do not offer your burnt offerings at any place that you see, but at the place that the Lord will choose in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I am commanding you. However, you may slaughter and eat meat within any of your towns as much as you desire, according to the blessing of the Lord your God that he has given you. The unclean and the clean may eat of it, as of the gazelle and as of the deer. Only you shall not eat the blood, you shall pour it out on the earth like water. You may not eat within your towns the tithe of your grain or of your wine or of your oil or the firstborn of your herd or of your flock, or any of your vow offerings that you vow, or your free will offerings or the contribution that you present. But you shall eat them before the Lord your God in the place that the Lord your God will choose, you and your son and your daughter, your male servant and your female servant, and the Levite who is within your towns. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God in all that you undertake. Take care that you do not neglect the Levite as long as you live in your land. When the Lord your God enlarges your territory, as he has promised you, and you say, I will eat meat because you crave meat, you may eat meat whenever you desire. If the place that the Lord your God will choose to put his name there is too far from you, then you may kill any of your herd or your flock which the Lord has given you, as I have commanded you, and you may eat within your towns whenever you desire. Just as the gazelle or the deer is eaten, so you may eat of it. The unclean and the clean alike may eat of it. Only be sure that you do not eat the blood, for the blood is the life, and you shall not eat the life with the flesh. You shall not eat it, you shall pour it out on the earth like water. You shall not eat it, that all may go well with you and with your children after you, when you do what is right in the sight of the Lord. But the holy things that are due from you, and your vow offerings you shall take, and you shall go to the place that the Lord will choose, and offer your burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, on the altar of the Lord your God. The blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out on the altar of the Lord your God, but the flesh you may eat. Be careful to obey all these words that I command you, that it may go well with you and with your children after you forever, when you do what is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God. When the Lord your God cuts off before you the nations whom you go in to dispossess, and you dispossess them and dwell in their land, take care that you be not ensnared to follow them, after they have been destroyed before you, and that you do not inquire about their gods, saying, How did these nations serve their gods, that I also may do the same? You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way, for every abominable thing that the Lord hates they have done for their gods. For they even burn their sons and their daughters in the fire to their gods. Everything that I command you, you shall be careful to do. You shall not add to it or take from it. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams arises among you and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or wonder that he tells you comes to pass, and if he says, Let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God is testing you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and hold fast to him. But that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has taught rebellion against the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of slavery, to make you leave the way in which the Lord your God commanded you to walk. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son or your daughter, or the wife you embrace, or your friend who is as your own soul, entices you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, some of the gods of the peoples who are around you, whether near you or far off from you, from the one end of the earth to the other, you shall not yield to him or listen to him, nor shall your eye pity him, nor shall you spare him, nor shall you conceal him. But you shall kill him. Your hand shall be first against him to put him to death, and afterward the hand of all the people. You shall stone him to death with stones, because he sought to draw you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and never again do any such wickedness as this among you. If you hear in one of your cities, which the Lord your God is giving you to dwell there, that certain worthless fellows have gone out among you and have drawn away the inhabitants of their city, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, then you shall inquire and make search and ask diligently. And behold, if it be true and certain that such an abomination has been done among you, you shall surely put the inhabitants of that city to the sword, devoting it to destruction, all who are in it and its cattle with the edge of the sword. You shall gather all its spoil into the midst of its open square, and burn the city and all its spoil with fire, as a whole burnt offering to the Lord your God. It shall be a heap forever. It shall not be built again. None of the devoted things shall stick to your hand, that the Lord may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show you mercy, and have compassion on you, and multiply you as he swore to your fathers, if you obey the voice of the Lord your God, keeping all his commandments that I am commanding you today, and doing what is right in the sight of the Lord your God. You are the sons of the Lord your God. You shall not cut yourselves or make any baldness on your foreheads for the dead. For you are a people holy to the Lord your God, and the Lord has chosen you to be a people for his treasured possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. You shall not eat any abomination.
Okay, before we get into the food laws, see, this is the thing with Israel, with the 12 tribes that came from Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And it goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. There were other nations on the earth, you see, but the Israelites were the torchbearers for his Torah. And we were the ones that demonstrated to the world who he is. And this is what we ought to be doing in the world now. Instead of assimilating to whatever trend and fashion of or culture of the world, we are to stand out, and we are to be the possession, treasured, that does things according to what he says. And I think this is where the Christian churches fall down. They have Yahusha that he died on the cross, but everything else they do is assimilated to the patterns of the world. All their festivals and ways and thoughts even are very similar to that of the world. They do what the world do. We were not to do that. We are to be different. Okay, God doesn't change. He was the same yesterday, today, and forever. His ways don't change. And we are to remain in his kingdom and to do these things, because how else are we unique and different? How else do we shine our light? We are to be the salt of the earth. So we are to do these things that he has said to do. And part of that is what we eat and what we don't eat. So let's go through some of these food laws. In Deuteronomy, why I like this book is it basically condenses the rest of the whole Torah. And now it's talking about the food laws, and then it's going to get onto some feast dates. So let's just go through some of these. These are abominations. They're abominations. They're things that the Lord hates. He's not just all fluffy and sits on a cloud and you can do what you want. He actually has created the world to exist and to function. And we're not to eat things that eat the grommets of the earth, like lobster. I used to love lobster and mussels, but they clean. They eat the gunk of the world. So why would we eat something that's slimy and full of the gunk of the world? We are to eat the pristine, clean things that don't eat those things. So So this is how when he created the world and for everything to function within it and have a purpose, he also has food there for us. There's also trees that he's given, and he's put them into sections, ones that have nuts, some that are deciduous, some that are good for burning, good for building. There's different trees that have different reasons to exist. So some that have fruit on them, nuts on them, and for burning and for building. They're basically the different types of trees. And it's the same with the food. They do different purposes and have different reasons to exist, but not all for us to eat. Yeah.
The animals you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roebuck, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep. Every animal that parts the hoof and has the hoof cloven in two and chews the cud, among the animals you may eat. Yet of those that chew the cud or have the hoof cloven, you shall not eat these: the camel, the hare, and the rock badger. Because they chew the cud but do not part the hoof, are unclean for you. And the pig, because it parts the hoof but does not chew the cud, is unclean for you. Their flesh you shall not eat, and their carcasses you shall not touch.
Now he has in here, and in the Targum expresses it a lot more, actually segregated the pig and speaks about that animal, isolating it from the rest. Why? Because he sees also what all the pagans do. They eat the pig. It's an abomination. It's unclean for you. Their flesh you shall not eat, and their carcass you shall not touch. What do people do at Christmas time? They put ham. Yep. Just like at unleavened bread and Passover, what's distributed in the world? Easter buns with the cross of Tammuz on it. So my people perish because they do not know truth. They do not know the law. These things are clean. These things are unclean. These things we do. These things we don't do. The pig, we don't even touch the pig, let alone consume it. And what did Antiochus Epiphanes do at the time of Hanukkah, at the Babylonian revolt at about 550 BC? Oh, no, sorry, about 250 BC. He put a pig on Yah's altar. It's the absolute height of abomination. What are we? We are his temple. Would we put a pig in his temple on the altar?
All that are in the waters, you may eat these. Whatever has fins and scales, you may eat. And whatever does not have fins and scales, you shall not eat. It is unclean for you. You may eat all clean birds, but these are the ones that you shall not eat: the eagle, the bearded vulture, the black vulture, the kite, the falcon of any kind, every raven of any kind, the ostrich, the nighthawk, the seagull, the hawk of any kind, the little owl and the short-eared owl, the barn owl and the tawny owl, the carrion vulture and the cormorant, the stork, the heron of any kind, the hoopoe and the bat. And all winged insects are unclean for you. They shall not be eaten. All clean winged things you may eat. You shall not eat anything that is died naturally. You may give it to the sojourner who is within your towns, that he may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner. For you are a people holy to the Lord your God. You shall not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. You shall tithe all the yield of your seed that comes from the field year by year. And before the Lord your God in the place that he will choose, to make his name dwell there, you shall eat the tithe of your grain, of your wine, and of your oil, and the firstborn of your herd and flock, that you may learn to fear the Lord your God always. And if the way is too long for you, so that you are not able to carry the tithe, when the Lord your God blesses you, because the place is too far from you, which the Lord your God chooses to set his name there, then you shall turn it into money and bind up the money in your hand, and go to the place that the Lord your God chooses, and spend the money for whatever you desire, oxen or sheep or wine or strong drink, whatever your appetite craves. And you shall eat there before the Lord your God, and rejoice, you and your household. And you shall not neglect the Levite who is within your towns, for he has no portion or inheritance with you. At the end of every 3 years you shall bring out all the tithe of your produce in the same year, and lay it up within your towns. And the Levite, because he has no portion or inheritance with you, and the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, who are within your towns, shall come and eat and be filled, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands that you do. At the end of every 7 years you shall grant a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor shall release what he has lent to his neighbor. He shall not exact it of his neighbor, his brother, because the Lord's release has been proclaimed. Of a foreigner you may exact it, but whatever of yours is with your brother, your hand shall release. But there will be no poor among you, for the Lord will bless you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance to possess, if only you will strictly obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all this commandment that I command you today. For the Lord your God will bless you as he promised you, and you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow, and you shall rule over many nations, but they shall not rule over you.
You see, these many nations, they shall not rule over you. If we all as a nation obeyed Yah's ways, we would be so blessed. You know, for 7 years, brother to brother, that's in the way. You know, if somebody owed you something or you owe somebody, clear it up before the 7 years if you can. After the 7 years, it is to be forgiven. So he's got the 7 year, And he's got the 7 times 7 year, which is the 50th year, which is the Jubilee, Pentecost, right? So these are his ways. Forgiveness of debt, 7 years, and the land goes back to its rightful owner at the end of the 50 years, every 50 years, Jubilee. And from the beginning of time of Adam and Eve to the end of 6,000 years is 120 Jubilees. It's not that long, really, that we've all been on this world. It's not that long.
If among you one of your brothers should become poor in any of your towns within your land that the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your heart or shut your hand against your poor brother, but you shall open your hand to him and lend him sufficient for his need, whatever it may be. Take care lest there be an unworthy thought in your heart, and you say, the 7th year, the year of release, is near, and your eye look grudgingly on your poor brother, and you give him nothing, and he cried to the Lord against you, and you be guilty of sin. You shall give to him freely, and your heart shall not be grudging when you give to him, because for this the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in all that you undertake. For there will never cease to be poor in the land. Therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy and to the poor in your land. If your brother, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, is sold to you, he shall serve you 6 years, and in the 7th year you shall let him go free from you. And when you let him go free from you, you shall not let him go empty-handed. You shall furnish him liberally out of your flock, out of your threshing floor, and out of your winepress. As the Lord your God has blessed you, you shall give to him. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you. Therefore I command you this today. But if he says to you, I will not go out from you, because he loves you and your household, since he is well off with you, then you shall take an awl and put it through his ear into the door, and he shall be your slave forever. And to your female slave you shall do the same. It shall not seem hard to you when you let him go free from you, for at half the cost of a hired worker, he has served you 6 years. So the Lord your God will bless you in all that you do. All the firstborn males that are born of your herd and flock you shall dedicate to the Lord your God. You shall do no work with the firstborn of your herd, nor shear the firstborn of your flock. You shall eat it, you and your household, before the Lord your God, year by year, at the place that the Lord will choose. But if it has any blemish, if it is lame or blind, or has any serious blemish whatever, you shall not sacrifice it to the Lord your God. You shall eat it within your towns. The unclean and the clean alike may eat it, as though it were a gazelle or a deer. Only you shall not eat its blood. You shall pour it out on the ground like water. Observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover to the Lord your God.
Now, Abib is the Hebrew word for Nisan. Okay, Nisan is what everybody commonly uses. It's a Babylonian word, actually. Aviv is the correct word. But I go by month 1. It's the month we're in now. And we're talking about the Passover. So now we're going to be moving into the laws and the observance, as per Leviticus 23, of the feast dates, his calendar, all right? And in the Aramaic and Palestinian Targum, it expands that out more, and I've got that there on the Ancient Book Club if you want to have a look under the Torah portions of the Aramaic and Palestinian Targum of Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1.
For the month of Abib the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt by night. And you shall offer the Passover sacrifice to the Lord your God, from the flock or the herd, at the place that the Lord will choose, to make his name dwell there. You shall eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days you shall eat it with unleavened bread, the bread of affliction. For you came out of the land of Egypt in haste, that all the days of your life you may remember the day when you came out of the land of Egypt. No leaven shall be seen with you in all your territory for 7 days, nor shall any of the flesh that you sacrifice on the evening of the first day remain all night until morning. You may not offer the Passover sacrifice within any of your towns that the Lord your God is giving you, but at the place that the Lord your God will choose. to make his name dwell in it. There you shall offer the Passover sacrifice in the evening at sunset, at the time you came out of Egypt. And you shall cook it and eat it at the place that the Lord your God will choose. And in the morning you shall turn and go to your tents. For 6 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day there shall be a solemn assembly to the Lord your God. You shall do no work on it. You shall...
Okay, so you had Passover and the beginning of unleavened bread. That first day is a Sabbath. It's a solemn feast, which for us this year here in New Zealand was on the Monday, because the day starts at night, which was Sunday night. That's when we did the Passover. And then the Monday was day one. Okay, so that is a Sabbath. And then on the last day, then for 6 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the 7th day is a solemn feast. So it will be this coming Sunday is a solemn feast, assembly for the Lord. And when you read the Targum, it talks about how it's for all the people with you, the sojourner, the widow, the orphan, friends, family, and it's a time of great joy and festivals. It doesn't really say it in our King James Bible, but it's a time of great celebration. It's a party. Everyone coming and going to each other's houses, and it's a celebration of unleavened bread, because it represents 7 days, the week again. You know, it represents no sin, and that Yahusha, they look forward to him coming. We look back to him being here. He was our Passover lamb, and there's no sin in us now. It's great celebration. It's wonderful. So this is what it represents, okay? And when it says a solemn assembly, it doesn't mean, oh, we've got to be sad and solemn. It just means it's a time that you don't work. You have that day off. It's a time, yeah, you shall do no work on it. It's gathering together again. Yeah. And then from the end of that, you see we've got first fruits and the counting of the Omer. So now we're going to go into the Feast of Weeks, which is the counting of the Omer.
Shall count 7 weeks. Begin to count the 7 weeks from the time the sickle is first put to the standing grain. Then you shall keep the Feast of Weeks to the Lord your God with the tribute of a freewill offering from your hand, which you shall give as the Lord your God blesses you.
So an Omer is a sheaf of grain. Okay, so every day you take the grain into the house of Yah. Okay, every day you cut it and you walk in there with the grain. So you can imagine everybody doing it on the field of the porch or whatever of the tabernacle will be just full of all this grain, day after day after day, and it will stop when you get to Pentecost.
And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you and your son and your daughter, your male servant and your female servant, the Levite who is within your towns, the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow who are among you, at the place that the Lord your God will choose to make his name dwell there. You shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and you shall be careful to observe these statutes. You shall keep the Feast of Booths 7 days, when you have gathered in the produce from your threshing floor and your winepress. You shall rejoice in your feast, you and your son and your daughter, your male servant and your female servant, the Levite, the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow who are within your towns. For 7 days you shall keep the feast to the Lord your God at the place that the Lord will choose, because the Lord your God will bless you in all your produce.
Okay, the Feast of Booths is the Feast of Tabernacles. Now we've moved to the next lot of feasts, which is in our springtime, their autumn, which is the Festival of Tabernacles. So they're both 7 days, the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Feast of Tabernacles. They both go from day 14 to 21 of the moon month and 14 to 21. So they represent, they are a mirror. Okay, so he's just talking about them here, that both of them are festivals. Both of them are times where you all get together with your friends and family and go to each other's houses and eat and drink and have not get drunk, but drink, and have times together around the word, remembering these times and looking forward to the finality of all things.
And all the work of your hands, so that you will be altogether joyful. 3 times a year all your males shall appear before the Lord your God at the place that he will choose, at the feast of unleavened bread, at the feast of weeks, and at the feast of booths.
Okay, so 3 times a year. Now, it talks about this in the book of Isaiah, that at the end of days, when the Messiah has come back and he's ruling and reigning here, he will choose for all the leaders of the towns, cities, countries to come before him 3 times of the year. And it's the same 3. Unleavened bread, which begins at Passover, because he's the Passover lamb. No sin. Feast of Weeks, which is counting the Yoma, which is the Jubilees, the 6,000 years. And at the end of it, we've got the Torah, the same time that the Torah was given, okay, in the Spirit. And the Feast of Booths, which is the Feast of Tabernacles, that he is tabernacling amongst us. Those 3 feasts represent everything from the beginning to the end. It represents the time, 7 weeks, unleavened bread. Feast of Booths, 7 weeks. It's from creation to the end of time, the 7,000 years. And in the middle of it is the Feast of Weeks, counting of the Omer. 50 Omers, 120, 6,000 years. See, his time frame, his calendar is all in his feasts. If we do not do these feasts, we do not know these things. So that's the calendar. Then we've got what it represents, unleavened bread. Okay, Passover, Yahushua coming. The transgression of the sin, he promised Adam, he will come. He will do those things. He will cleanse the world of the sin, okay, of the trespass that's been made, the curse that's been here from breaking the Torah. So he did that. And then you've got the Feast of Weeks. At the end of that, we've got the Torah being given. Every week, every day, a sheath was given. Okay, it's our offerings to him. It's our singing, our praise, our worship. And it's also, the sacrifices that they did years and years ago, which we don't do now, but, of the other animals and of the fruit offerings, the dove offerings. So it's our offerings. It's what we give to him. It's also souls being saved. Those coming out from the world and participating in his kingdom. And then we've got the Feast of Booths, of Tabernacles, of him tabernacling amongst us for 7 days. He's always been here, guys. He was the Word that was made flesh that dwelt amongst us. And when you read in the Targum, it's the Word that spoke with Adam and Eve and Noah and Enoch and Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the 12 tribes. It's Yahushua, the angel of the Lord. It's him. He's always been here, yet he created this world for us to live in. And he was part of it. He came as a baby through Mary to be the sacrificial lamb that he promised Adam and Eve from the beginning. Okay, so all men can be saved. To show us Torah. He was a Torah made flesh and dwelt amongst us. And he's coming back at the end of the 6,000 years to be the King of all kings, the high priest of all priests, of all Levites, of all those that demonstrate and do and show his calendar, the priesthood. Okay, he is our high priest that died. He was a high priest written. He was one of the 22 high priests that was written in the Codex in Jerusalem and Jerusalem. The last one entered. Mother, Mary the Virgin. Father, God. Okay, YHVH, the Most High, is his father. And he died. He took the cup of wrath. He took the curse. His belly swelled. He suffocated on the cross. And so he could marry back his bride, which is Israel, 12 tribes. And all the world, all who will come and ask. The veil was cut from top to bottom, so everyone can come in now through him. into the Holy of Holies and talk with the Father. We don't need a priest or anyone to talk with us, to be a messenger. We can talk with him. Okay, and then he's going to come back as that high priest, because he died, he rose again, and he's still the high priest in the world, still the high priest in heaven, because he's still alive. So these three feasts represent everything done, everything that's ever existed and will exist and does exist. So they shall not appear before him empty-handed. Let's just keep reading on, and then we've got the others. We're nearly at the end, guys.
They shall not appear before the Lord empty-handed. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord your God that he has given you.
Okay, so all the males must appear before the Lord for these three things. Yep. And it's going to be the same when he returns. Nothing changes. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Isaiah 54.
O afflicted one, storm-tossed and not comforted, behold, I will set your stones in antimony, and lay your foundations with sapphires. I will make your pinnacles of agate, your gates of carbuncles, and all your wall of precious stones. All your children shall be taught by the Lord, and great shall be the peace of your children. In righteousness you shall be established. You shall be far from oppression, for you shall not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near you. If anyone stirs up strife, it is not from me. Whoever stirs up strife with you shall fall because of you. Behold, I have created the smith who blows the fire of coals and produces a weapon for its purpose. I have also created the ravager to destroy. No weapon that is fashioned against you shall succeed, and you shall refute every tongue that rises against you in judgment. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication from me, declares the Lord. Come, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, and he who has no money, come, buy and eat. Come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend your money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which does not satisfy? Listen diligently to me, and eat what is good, and delight yourselves in rich food. Incline your ear and come to me. Hear, that your soul may live, and I will make with you an everlasting covenant, my steadfast, sure love for David. Behold, I made him a witness to the peoples, a leader and commander for the peoples. Behold, you shall call a nation that you do not know, and a nation that did not know you shall run to you, because of the Lord your God and of the Holy One of Israel, for he has glorified you.
Beautiful. The everlasting covenant with David, that one will always be on the throne, in the bloodline of David, as it is to this day, actually. Come, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. He who has no money, come and buy and eat. What's he talking about? He's talking about him, his Torah, his ways. It satisfies. Delight yourself in rich food. Incline your ear. Come to me here that your soul may live. Beautiful. It does not cause strife. That's right. But don't forget, we've got those that are of the wicked one that stirs amongst us. John 6:35.
Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you have seen me, and yet do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never cast out. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And this is the will of him who sent me, that I should lose nothing of all that he has given me, but raise it up on the last day. For this is the will of my Father, that everyone who looks on the Son and believes in him should have eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day." So the Jews grumbled about him because he said, "I am the bread that came down from heaven." They said, "Is not this Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How does he now say, 'I have come down from heaven'?" Jesus answered them, "Do not grumble among yourselves. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I will raise him up on the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they will all be taught by God. Everyone who has heard and learned from the Father comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father, except he who is from God. He has seen the Father. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, and they died. This is the bread that comes down from heaven, so that one may eat of it and not die. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. And the bread that I will give for the life of the world is my flesh."
Yes, and that's what we've been celebrating this last week, isn't it? The bread that I will give for the life of the world is my flesh. And it's just like on the Last Supper, the night before he died, he gave the bread, the unleavened bread, right? With no sin in it. The communion. This is my bread. This is my body. Eat this. And this is my blood given for you. Thank you, Father, sending Yahusha. And thank you for the sacrifice you made, Yahusha, so that we can all come, great and small, young and old, all nations to you in repentance of breaking your ways, living our life the way we want to. You've shown us the map, the job description, and how to be in your kingdom, and we accept. And we thank you for that. And I pray that you'll be with all of us this week as we go about our work and our lives, that you will go before us and make our crooked path straight. And that you illuminate the scriptures to us for that which we need to know. And thank you for choosing us out of the world to come and sit at your feet, to be taught of you, be taught of you, so that we can walk in your ways. Thank you. Praise be your name forever. He who is holy and true, always Yahushua HaMashiach, our Messiah. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Yeah, bless you this week. Bye for now.